We figured that either she is crazy or David was having an affair and using Danielle's name as a decoy. Hello everyone and welcome to BoredMaster. In today's video, we'll be exploring the Reddit page Relationships, where the wife of a married couple accuses her best friend, also married, of cheating with her husband. But before we begin, hit the subscribe button just like you'd hit on your ideal person for a first date. And give this video a thumbs up instead of a hug, like you would at the end of a bad date. On to the video. This first post is titled, "My coworker, 40 female, refuses to accept that I, 31 female, now cannot attend her party. What should I do?" Hi all, basically my coworker has organized a big birthday party for herself and made it wedding themed. We are all supposed to wear clothes that we would wear to a wedding as wedding guests. Because according to her, as she has never been married, and her father is now terminally ill, she wants to have her father-daughter dance. I already RSVP'd that I would go weeks ago. However, last weekend I began getting excruciating pain in my wrist. Background on this is that I've had cancer twice since I was 26. One tumor in my spine that was surgically removed after radiotherapy at 27 years old, and then a type of lymphoma in the glands of my throat that I had surgically removed January of 2021. Any bone pain now terrifies me, and rightly so, to be honest. I went to A&E finally on Thursday night when I couldn't move my hand, and they confirmed with an x-ray that I have a growth on my wrist bone that could be a reoccurrence of the bone cancer, but I won't know until they test it. My coworker does not know about my history of cancer. However, as I kept everything very quiet when I had the time off, and basically told my managers that if anyone ended up knowing that I hadn't personally told, I would be taking them to a tribunal regarding confidentiality, as I am a very private person. I was lucky and privileged, to be honest, because none of my treatments led me to lose any hair on my head, except my eyebrows and eyelashes, which I blamed on my thyroid. I lost like a couple rows of hair on the back of my head weirdly, but that was covered by the rest of my hair, and the rest of my hair just shed more than usual. I've been signed off of work with a sick note, which carries me through to after a biopsy is taken. I'm in a great deal of pain, and it's nerve pain, so I need special neuro painkillers to even touch it. I messaged her and said, "I'm so sorry to let you down last minute, but I can't come due to carpal tunnel. I know that's a lie, but my business is my business," and explained truthfully, I'm on loads of painkillers and can't go. I expected that to be the last of it, to be honest. Instead, she has messaged back and forth to me 3 times insisting I go. The first message said, "No, don't do that. Can't you come just for a bit and get a few drinks in you so the pain feels less bad?" I replied to that I also didn't want work to find out I had handed in a sick note, and then went to a party. Again, I assumed the interaction would be over now. She messaged back saying, "I've been off sick with a broken bone before and went to a work event. Just don't appear in any photos. No one will tell on you." This filled me with social anxiety, to be honest, because I'm walking a fine line all the time at work between my professional assertiveness and maintaining friendly relationships with colleagues as it is, and I fear dysfunction in my working relationships. I replied that I was taking my sick note in tomorrow morning and would let her know what my pain was like tomorrow, but I doubt I could come, and reiterated that, so her money for my meal wasn't wasted. I would reimburse her. She has messaged a 3rd time saying, "It's not about money. You were my top person on my list that I wanted there from work, and I don't want to have to look at your little empty seat." I haven't opened or replied to the message yet, because I've honestly never encountered such an unwillingness to accept what I'm saying in a context like this before. Does anyone have any advice as to how I can navigate this? Pain, fear, and acute social anxiety are impairing my ability to make a good decision, I think. Thanks to anyone who can help. For added context, she and I aren't close friends or anything, literally just co-workers. TLDR, messaged coworker to pull out of attending catered party, but offered to pay for my head as it's short notice. Have genuinely scary health going on and in a lot of pain. She is repeatedly messaging me insisting I go, not taking no for an answer. What should I do? Edit. Thank you to everyone who has replied to give advice. I'm honestly overwhelmed and grateful, so truly thank you all very much. One thing I wanted to say here, though, is probably a bit weird, but as a nurse, I just wanted to clarify something for everyone. I completely agree at this point that my choice to substitute one wrist pain condition for another, aka lie, fib, mislead, was an extremely poor decision, and I need to remember how much harder that made this in future. However, loads of the replies I got were saying a lot of things about how carpal tunnel is a silly, non-serious condition, and the nurse in me just cannot say nothing about that. But I can't individually reply to all the people who said it. If someone you know has carpal tunnel, please don't assume they're fine. Carpal tunnel occurs when there is compression of the median nerve due to inflammation or wear and tear. Exactly like what is happening to mine now, but for a different reason. It's excruciating, and it is serious. If it is left untreated, it can lead to nerve death and loss of the use of the person's hand. Just a friendly plea to not assume someone who genuinely has carpal tunnel is not an excruciating pain, because quite often they are. Nerve pain is the worst pain there is. Think about toothache, needing a root canal, or when your back pain shoots up and down your back, bottom or legs. And when you have nerve pain, I assure you, you can't think of anything else. Also, normal painkillers don't run on the correct pathway to relieve nerve pain. You actually need a whole different type of painkiller. So to sum up, you're all correct. It's stupid that I made an excuse. I should have just been vague and refused to talk about it. But it's not a silly excuse, because compression of the nerves in the wrist is extremely painful and debilitating. I can't even cut my own food with a knife and fork. And my growth, not going to call it a tumor until that's confirmed, jinx, 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 is pressing on the exact same nerves that are pressed when someone has carpal tunnel. Thanks again, everyone. Your advice has meant so much. This next post is titled, I, 17 male, don't know how to tell my dad, 42 male, correction added at the end of the post, that my stepmom, 37 female, hates me. I have added the question and also posted elsewhere as well. Hey, this might be a long one, I'm sorry. There is a TLDR at the bottom. I really don't know what to do about my situation, and I don't have anyone close to give me advice, so I thought here I can maybe get some advice. I have an amazing dad who raised me since my mom passed away when I was 5 years old. He is my friend, my supporter, and someone who I want to be like when I grow up. When my dad first introduced my stepmom to me, I was 10 years old, and she was very nice to me, and he looked so happy that we met and hoped that we could get along. They got married when I was 13, and I was so happy that me and my dad had a new member in our family. I thought me and stepmother were getting along, until I think a few months after their honeymoon. She told me one morning that we just needed to pretend to like each other around my dad, but when he is not here, that I shouldn't bother her. Honestly, this shattered me, but I agreed because I didn't know what else to do. After that day, whenever it was just me and stepmother, she would say things to get to me, and I would just not say anything. I'm introverted and don't like confrontation, so I just took it and thought over time she would get over it, but it got worse. She would talk about my height and weight and say I was a funny-looking version of my dad. I hoped my dad would notice, but he didn't. He actually thinks me and stepmother are so close, and she understands me. He looks so happy with her that maybe it's worth not saying anything and giving it time. This year, my stepmother has started picking on me around my dad, and he has either joined in or ignored it. I have voiced that what she says makes me uncomfortable and hurts, but my dad says she is teasing and doesn't mean it to hurt me. Well, right now, I'm at my ends, and I'm scared, I'm angry, frustrated at my stepmom and my dad. Dad was away for work, and it was just me and stepmom at home. She had a party at home with a couple of her friends. I helped set the house up and cook dinner, 'cause Dad asked me to help out, which was fine. After they ate and just hung out, they were hanging out on the porch, when I heard stepmom and her friends talk very loud outside my window while I was in my room. Stepmom's friends talked about how lucky stepmom was to have a nice husband and a house. When they mentioned how nice it was that I cooked for them, stepmom told them that I was annoying and weird, and she hated me and living with me, and couldn't wait till I was 18 to kick me out. I was shocked that she hated me that much, but I didn't know why. To be honest, I thought we were tolerating each other, but to hate me, I must have done something, but I can't think of what I did. I've been kinda down since that day, which was 2 weeks ago, and I thought I would pass the initial feelings, but at rugby training today, I bursted into tears, and my coach sent me home, so I drove to a beach and cried. I was feeling so much, I honestly can't describe my emotions. I eventually fell asleep in my car. Now I'm here hoping I can get advice on how to talk to my dad about it, 'cause I'm scared about how he will react. I don't want my dad to be sad, 'cause he does so much for me, but I'm not strong like him. I'm really struggling. My question is, how can I approach this conversation with my dad about my stepmother hating me? Or should I tell him at all? TLDR, I heard my stepmom telling her friends she hates me, and I want to tell my dad about it, but don't know how. Edit. Someone questioned my dad's age, and I'm sorry, but it was supposed to be 42, but I can't change it, sorry. Thank you everyone that provided advice and kind words. It means a lot to me. I have read every comment and have an idea on how to approach this situation. I'm honestly terrified of the outcome being negative, but the encouragements and support are making this a bit easier to deal with. I am going to talk to my dad on Sunday and show him this post. I hope it goes well, and I hope all of you stay safe and take care. This next post is titled, Overcoming the Unthinkable. Overcoming the Unthinkable? Background. My wife and I have been married for 23 years, and overall together for 28. Our mutual best friends of 22 years have been a major part of our lives, so much that we're practically family. A few weeks ago, we all went to Hawaii for one of our annual family vacations. My 2 eldest guys stayed behind for work, so it was just myself, my wife, and my youngest son, Caden. Our best friends, David and Myra, brought their youngest daughter, Emma. Everything was going great on the vacation, until Myra and David got into one of those habitual spats, whenever one of them looked in the direction of someone of the opposite sex. We thought no biggie, they will work it out like they always do. They did eventually work things out, but it took much longer than expected, and made our day pretty uncomfortable due to the tension. A couple days later, everyone was back to normal, and we're all relaxing at the beach drinking some cocktails, and the topic of jealousy came up. Myra asked me if I thought she was a jealous person. I don't lie, and have always been very direct, so I told her yes, absolutely, you and David are both extremely jealous people. I cited some examples, such as not being able to go to guys' night or girls' night only events, not being able to go to the restroom solo, constantly looking out through each other's phones. Myra seemed rather agitated at my reply, but I assured her that it doesn't take away anything from them as a person. She seemed upset for about 15 minutes, but then another conversation came up, and all was well again. The very next day, we had all planned on going to the other side of the island for snorkeling. As we were about to leave, Myra texted my wife and said they would be staying in. We figured they may be fighting again, so we offered to take Emma with us so she can enjoy her day. They said not this time. We went on without them and had a great day. My wife Danielle texted Myra in the afternoon to check in and see if they were going to make the luau that night. Myra texted back that they would meet us in the lobby. In the lobby, Myra said her and Emma had bad stomach aches, and that is why they stayed back. However, during the party, David, Myra, and Emma were very standoffish and not very talkative. When we get back to our hotel, Myra pulls Danielle aside and tells her she needs to speak with her. I take Caden up to our room, and 5 minutes later my wife is calling me, crying hysterically, telling me to hurry up and come down and help her. I rush down as fast as I can, only to find Myra raging at my wife, her best friend, accusing her of cheating with her husband, David. The look in her eyes was something I've never seen of her before. It's like she was possessed. Myra was screaming she had proof of text messages exchanged, but never provided us any data. My wife and I are happily married, and I didn't entertain those accusations for even a second. David also denied any such accusations, and said there must be something else going on between the girls, and they need to work it out, and he was staying out of it. Danielle was obviously extremely hurt, and shocked that her best friend can accuse her of something like this. She not only made these accusations with no proof, but did this in our family vacation. Our son wept after seeing his mom crying uncontrollably. We ended up cutting our vacation short a few days and came home. Upon our arrival home, Myra had sent an email to Danielle saying she was at peace with what transpired in Hawaii, along with dates and timestamps of text message exchanges between her and David. No proof of the messages or the content were provided. Danielle and her went back and forth, with Danielle denying all accusations. Eventually, Danielle pulled her ATT records and highlighted the dates and times Myra listed, and showed her that no messages or data, incoming or outgoing, was present for those dates and times. We figured that either she is crazy, or David was having an affair and using Danielle's name as a decoy. Either way, our phone records proved that it wasn't Danielle. It's been 4 weeks, and both myself and my wife have come to the realization that we are better off without the toxicity. However, I'm having a really hard time moving on. After 22 years of friendship, we obviously have other friends in common. My wife has already had some of these friends defriend her, after presumably hearing Myra's insane version of her story, or perhaps something different. I want to put out every text, email, phone records, etc. into a PDF and publish that for the entire world to see how insane she really is. However, my wife just wants to move on. TLDR, my wife's best friend of 22 years accused her of cheating with her husband with no proof. Guess I'm looking for some advice on what to do. One of the comments down below quotes a part of OP's story. The part where it says, "My wife has already had some of these friends defriend her after presumably hearing Myra's insane version of her story, or perhaps something different." And then replies, "Anyone who would do this without getting your wife's side of the story is no friend. Let them go. Spend some time in smaller groups with the mutual friends, i.e. invite them over, one couple at a time, for dinner. Clear the air with them individually. The ones that are willing to listen to reason will remain your friends. The ones that won't are better removed from your life." Another reply in the comment said, "It's so convenient that OP gives Myra his honest opinion when asked about their relationship, and then the very next day this happens. I can hear her now. 'Oh, you think our relationship is messed up? You think you're so perfect? Just wait.' David is staying out of it because he may know what she is doing. If I caught my husband cheating with my best friend, you bet I'm coming with proof. The fact that she refuses to show it means she doesn't have any. So she has texts that say Danielle is in his phone that are not from her. And why didn't she check the phone number under the name? As that would have ruled that out. Or she is making this crap up to make everyone as miserable as her. I'm going with the latter, as she seems like the type to splash the proof all over social media if she had it. She doesn't, so now all she can do is voice her accusations to anyone who will listen. OP, take your wife's lead, move on, and do not get sucked into their vortex of never-ending drama. Sucking you in is the oxygen she needs to keep this going, so suck the air out of the room." I think both of these comments offer some very sage advice. This last post is titled, "My 30 female, husband 35 male, won't share with me a time-lapse he did of a beautiful sunset. This is the dumbest thing. It is trivial, and it's been 3 days. But at this point, it's not about the video anymore. It's about his attitude. Recently, my husband created a social media account to post about his work, and he shared a time-lapse of a beautiful sunset, which I also had the chance to see in real life since I was walking back home, and even sent him pictures on my way back. Got home, saw the time-lapse, and I asked him to send it to me because I loved it and would like to have it. He said he wouldn't share it because it was his content, and he didn't want me to post it. At first, I took it as a joke, but gradually it started draining my energy. Soon after, I asked for the video, just to simply keep it, and would not post it. Well, it's been 3 days, and we are still having deep conflicts, and raising the voice at each other. I've tried to sit and talk calmly to understand why. He refuses to hear me, and understand my point of view on this. I tried to tell you that it's not about the video, but his attitude. I asked him why he wouldn't share, and he said, I don't have an answer. It's not about the video, but his attitude, which, for me, shows that he feels like we are in a competition that I don't even know about. So does that mean because he is starting with his social media thing, then it's a contest, and I, wife, married for 3 years, am prohibited to have it? I am extremely stressed with this whole situation because, again, I don't care about this video and am upset with his behavior. I want us to feel that we are together in the journey of life. I can't just let it go because I feel it symbolizes something deeper. Please need advice on this, how to handle it. I don't know. Thank you. TLDR. Upset with husband because he won't share a time-lapse video with me because it's his content for social media. Edit. Thank you so much everyone for all messages. I've answered the most popular questions. Don't think I will be able to answer every single comment, but I did read. I did not know I would get so many replies. You all helped me. We are okay now, and we have a therapy session coming up. Thanks again. I really liked a couple of the top comments. The first one says, I think you guys need to go to therapy because this is such a weird thing to fight over, and with such intensity. Is this kind of fight normal for you both? Another comment said, oh man, can totally relate to this. When we first got married, my wife and I went out to dinner for sushi. I had some soft-shelled crab, and I asked her to try it because it was really good. She refused. We got in a big fight which ended with me yelling, just eat it! 16 years later, and that phrase lives in infamy in our household. Anytime somebody doesn't want to taste something, we scream jokingly, just eat it! One final comment replied, maybe I'm projecting my past self, but maybe OP steamrolls her husband a little bit? But to be fair, why does she need the time-lapse on her phone? Like, why can't she just look at it and know it's safely on his phone or whatever? It seems like she's more caught up into why she can't have the content on her phone, even though her husband took the time and energy to create it. He's probably super proud of it, and is being selfish and wants all the credit. Personally, I tend to agree. I think there's a bit of a control issue going on, and honestly I'm happy to hear that they're going to see therapy. Oftentimes in relationships, you have to pick and choose your battles and let everything else roll off your shoulders. But in the events when that just won't do, therapy is a great option. Thanks again for listening. Again, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. Also, be sure to click the notification bell to stay up to date on my upcoming videos. I'll see you in the next one.